coffee and conspiracy. Let's start tonight's boring history story. Imagine stepping into the dimly lit back room of a 16th century Istanbul coffee house. The air thick with the aroma of freshly ground beans and the murmur of hushed conversations. You're not here just for the caffeine the rich. Cardamom-infused brew is a welcome perk. You're here because this is where the real power lies. The Janissaries, the elite soldiers of the Ottoman Empire, have turned these humble establishments into their secret intelligence hubs. As you sip your coffee, you notice the subtle nods, the coded phrases, and the way certain cups are placed just so on the table. Every gesture, every pause, is part of a carefully choreographed dance of information. The coffeehouse owner, a man with a carefully trimmed beard and a knowing smile, moves between tables, refilling cups and collecting whispers. You realize that the fate of empires could hinge on the gossip exchanged over these steaming cups. The clink of copper, sezves, and the occasional burst of laughter mask the gravity of it all. This is where alliances are forged, betrayals are uncovered, and the pulse of the empire is tacked one sip at a time. The Janissaries didn't just drink coffee, they weaponized it. And as the steam curls around your face, you can't help but feel like you've stumbled into the heart of a conspiracy far grander than you ever imagined. The Janisary Code. You find yourself seated at a low wooden table in the corner of a bustling coffee house, your fingers tracing the intricate patterns of a ceramic cup before you. The Janissaries around you seem to be engaged in idle chatter, but you soon notice the subtle language of their movements. A tilt of the head, a tap of the spoon against the rim of the Cupid's gesture carries meaning. The coffee, strong and fragrant, is more than a drink. It's a cipher. The Janissaries have developed an entire system of communication hidden in plain sight. A cup placed to the left signals danger. A stir counterclockwise means a message has been intercepted. You watch as a soldier casually drops a sugar cube into his coffee, and the room's mood shifts imperceptibly. The owner, a man with a scar across his brow, catches your eye and smiles. He knows you're observing, but he doesn't seem to mind. Perhaps you're being tested. The steam from your coffee rises in lazy spirals, and for a moment, you feel like you're part of something clandestine, something alive. The Janissary's code isn't written in ink or carved into stone, it's brewed into every cup, whispered in every sip, and as you take your final swallow, you realize you've just decoded your first secret without saying a word. Sugar and surveillance. You sit in the smoky haze of the coffee house, watching as a Janissary carefully counts out 3 lumps of sugar into his cup. It seems like a trivial act, but nothing here is as it appears. The sugar isn't just for sweetness, it's a signal. 3 lumps mean a meeting is confirmed. 2. A warning. 1. Silence. The Janissaries have turned even the simplest of rituals into a tool of surveillance. As you stir your own coffee, you notice the way the owner's eyes flicker to each table, memorizing orders, tracking movements. The sugar bowl, polished to a shine, is passed from hand to hand, its contents dwindling with each whispered exchange. You learn that the palace once tried to ban sugar in coffee houses, fearing its use as a code, but the Janissaries simply switched to honey or dates, adapting without missing a beat. The clink of spoons against porcelain fills the air, a symphony of hidden meanings. You take a sip, the sweetness lingering on your tongue, and wonder how many secrets have been dissolved in cups just like this one. The coffee house isn't just a place to drink, it's a ledger written in sugar and steam, whispers in the steam. The coffee house hums with quiet energy as you lean closer to catch the murmurs rising like steam from the cups around you. The Janissaries have mastered the art of secrecy, disguising their messages in the most mundane of actions. A man across the room blows gently on his coffee, sending ripples across the dark surface, a signal to his companion. Another traces his finger along the rim, leaving behind a pattern only the initiated can decipher. The owner, a figure of quiet authority, moves between tables, his hands busy with cups and cloths, but his eyes miss nothing. He pauses at your table, wiping away imaginary spills as he murmurs a phrase that sounds like idle chatter but carries the weight of a warning. The steam curls around his face, obscuring his lips from prying eyes. You realize that every gesture here is a performance, every word a double entendre. Even the act of cleaning the coffee grounds becomes a dance of deception. As messages are slipped between the dregs, the air is thick with the scent of roasted beans and unspoken truths. As you take another sip, you feel the warmth of the coffee and the thrill of being part of something clandestine. The Janissaries don't just speak, they whisper in steam, and only those who listen closely can hear. Sultans versus sippers. The Sultan's decree arrives like a winter gust. Coffeeuses must close by sundown. Their patrons dispersed, but as you linger in the dim glow of lanterns, you witness defiance in the steam. The Janissaries, draped in shadows, barely glance at the proclamation. Their cups remain full, their whispers uninterrupted. The palace fears these gatherings, where loyalty to the throne is measured in sips and silences. Spies lurk among the tables, their ears straining for treason. But the Janissaries play them like fools. A soldier spills his coffee accidentally, the dark liquid spreading like a map of rebellion. The owner sighs, mopping it up while murmuring coordinates for a midnight rendezvous. You learn of a raid planned for dawn, of informants bought with gold or silenced with it. The Sultan's men will find empty stools and cold hearths. For the Janissaries have their own messengers, barbers, bakers, even the blind storyteller in the corner. As the muezzin's call echoes, you drain your cup, tasting not just coffee but the Iranian Empire trembling over porcelain and gossip. The real war isn't fought with swords, but with steam and patience. And as you slip into the night, you wonder who truly rules Istanbul, the man on the throne, or the ones who stir his secrets into their cups. The Barber Connection. In the labyrinthine streets of Istanbul, where the scent of spices mingles with the metallic tang of sharpened blades, you find yourself in a barber's chair. The barber, a man with nimble fingers and a tongue just as deft, works his razor with practiced ease. But this is no ordinary shave. As the blade glides, so do his words, each stroke punctuated by gossip, each pause laden with meaning. The Janissaries trust him implicitly, for barbers are the unseen threads weaving through the empire's fabric. They hear confessions, trim the beards of spies, and even stitch wounds in secret. Your reflection in the mirror catches a glimpse of a Janissary slipping into the back room, where the hum of clippers masks the exchange of hushed intelligence. The barber's apprentice, a boy with wide eyes, brings you a cup of coffee strong, unsweetened, a silent test of your allegiance. You sip it slowly, watching as the barber's scissors snip away at more than just hair. He is pruning the truth, shaping it into something palatable for the right ears. The razor nicks your skin, a tiny bead of blood welling up. The barber apologizes, but you smile. It's a small price to pay for the secrets now tucked into your collar, as sharp as the blade that trimmed them. The clinking of tiny spoons against porcelain cups fills the air, a rhythmic undercurrent to the murmured conversations in the coffeehouse. You watch as a Janissary stirs his coffee deliberate times clockwise, then once counterclockwise. It's not a habit, it's a declaration. The spoon, so small and seemingly insignificant, becomes a tool of rebellion in his hands. The Ottoman authorities have banned gatherings. But they can't outlaw the simple act of stirring coffee. The Janissaries have turned this mundane ritual into a silent protest. A young recruit across the room mimics the gesture, his eyes alight with defiance. The owner, wiping down the counter, nods almost imperceptibly. Hey, seen this before? Way revolutions brew in cups before they spill into the streets. You take a sip of your own coffee, the bitterness sharp on your tongue, and feel the weight of the moment. The spoon in your hand feels heavier now, charged with possibility. The Janissaries don't need swords when they have spoons. And as the steam rises from your cup, you realize that sometimes the smallest acts carry the loudest echoes. Fortunetelling Fronts. The coffeehouse's corner is dimly lit, occupied by an elderly woman with piercing eyes and hands that dance over the dregs of a cup. She's known as the reader of grounds, but her predictions are far more than superstition. As you sit across from her, she swirls the remnants of your coffee, her fingers tracing patterns only she can decipher. A storm approaches. She murmurs, but the storm isn't in the clouds, it's in the palace. The Janissaries use her as a conduit, her cryptic words masking troop movements and coded warnings. A young soldier slides into the seat beside you, his cup already empty. She reads his grounds next, her voice low and steady. "Beware the third bridge," she says, and he stiffens. You realize the bridges aren't over water, but checkpoints in the city. The owner refills your cup, his gaze lingering on the woman. She's protected here, her role too valuable to disrupt. As you leave, you glance back at her, now reading another cup, her predictions weaving a net of safety for the rebels who rely on her. The future isn't written in the stars, it's written in coffee, and she's the one who translates it. The Great Coffeehouse Raid. The crack of dawn brings not the usual hum of the coffeehouse, but the thunder of boots and the clatter of armor. The Sultan's guards swarm the establishment, overturning tables, shattering cups, and scattering the remnants of last night's conversations like so many coffee grounds. You stand frozen in the chaos, watching as the Janissaries composed slip into the crowd, their faces unreadable. The owner, his apron stained with spilled brew, feigns ignorance, but his eyes dart to a loose floorboard near the hearth. The guards miss it, too focused on their theatrical display of authority. They confiscate sacks of coffee beans, stacks of cups, even the copper sezvas, as if the tools themselves are guilty of treason. But the real treasure, the coded ledgers, the maps, the names are already gone, spirited away through a network of tunnels beneath the city. By midday, the coffeehouse is a hollow shell, its usual patrons replaced by wary onlookers. Yet, as you walk past the ruins, you catch the faintest aroma of coffee lingering in the air. The Janissaries will return. They always do. And when they do, the cups will clink again, the steam will rise, and the whispers will continue just out of earshot of the Sultan's men. Ashes to archives. The fire that consumed the Janissary barracks was no accident. As embers danced in the night sky, you sifted through the charred remnants of what was once the heart of their secret network. The heat had warped the copper coffee pots, melted the wax seals of their ledgers, but not all was lost. Hidden beneath a false floor, a single chest served its contents untouched by flame. Inside, meticulously organized scrolls detailed decades of covert operations, coded messages, and the names of allies scattered across the empire. Each page smelled faintly of coffee, as if the beans themselves had preserved the truth. The Sultan's men would never think to look here. They assumed the fire had erased everything, but the Janissaries had planned for this. Their archives were designed to outlast them, their secrets buried in plain sight. as you unroll a scroll. The ink's still sharp despite the years. You realize this isn't just history, it's a blueprint. The coffee houses may have been raided, the networks disrupted, but the knowledge remains, and with it, the possibility of revival. The steam of rebellion never truly dissipates. It just waits for the right moment to rise again. That's all for today. Thank you for listening. Remember to subscribe, and good night.